It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, I'm Gary Shorman, and this is the Forum on Eagle Television. Glad to have you watching. Our forum's brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today is Brad Moritz, and Brad is the industrial tech teacher at Hayes Middle School. And you know, Brad, when you talk about 20 years worth.
Yeah. Crazy.
Go for that, yeah. When you talk about doing industrial tech, what all does that include today? And we'll go back to maybe what it included when you first started 20 years ago.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, when I first started, I taught in Colorado for several years, and we moved to Hayes just because it was a nice small town. We wanted to be a part of this community. Didn't have a job when we moved here, and I was hoping to get a teaching gig again at some point. Larry Gilchrist retired after 33 years at Hayes Middle School, or well, it would have been Felton at the time.
Felton at that time, yeah.
And I was told that I had some big shoes to fill, and I was told to just wear my own shoes that first year. And so from then on, it just kind of became my program. Back in those early days,
more woodworking kind of thing?
We did some woodworking, yeah. We did some industrial tech things. We didn't focus quite so much on the science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM categories, those subjects that we hear so often now with the STEM curriculum. We did a little bit of that in the modules that we did. We did some robotics and some flight and some building bridges and things of that nature. And then I took over the home economics side of it as well. And so we did some sewing and family consumer science technologies.
So today, what do you do? Because we're talking robots here, and these are really cool robots.
It's kind of blossomed into more of a STEM environment. I've got two classrooms. I got the tech lab in addition to the woodworking facility. And then next door to that, I've got the classroom where we have the traditional tables and we do some lecture type things in there. And in the last 3 years, we got rid of the modules, and now we're pretty much a full STEM curriculum. And in a semester, I'll get all of my 7th graders, it's exploratory tech. We'll do all the 7th graders, boys and girls. They'll see some bridges, they'll build bridges, and we'll test those for efficiency. We'll build rockets, learn a little bit about the NASA history of space flight and how we got to the moon, and some manufacturing. And then, of course, my favorite would be the robotics. And then in that class, we talk about all of the things that make a robot more autonomous and a smarter robot that can interact in its own environment.
You and I were talking before when we got to how exciting, for me, classes like this are a lot of fun because you learn, you actually put skills into place, whether it be building, putting things together, and I enjoy doing that. To me, this is one of the best parts of school.
It's pretty fun when we do our 5th grade open house and our 7th grade open house and all of these things and our parent-teacher conferences. Parents come walking in and they see our tech lab for the first time. They're like, man, you got a really cool job because I'd like to be here. And that's and honestly, that's the kind of stuff that kept me in high school when I was doing that kind of thing.
Well, you're dealing with 7th graders. Sometimes it's hard to keep their attention. I'm guessing this does.
It is. It is a crowd favorite at the middle school. It's kind of a flagship tech lab in Kansas. Even we've had people come out from all over the place and think our program is a good program. And the things that we learn in there, I guess, show that it is, because we've got kids that are building bridges that are holding 100 or 1,000, 1,800 times their own weight, a little bridge, and that's quite impressive when you get down to the engineering side of and problem solving and critical thinking that they're doing.
It's more than just more concrete.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not just chopping wood and gluing it together.
Yeah, very good. Hey, one of the things that we're here to talk about, and you see in the background, there's a great trophy right behind us over here. It's really cool. But what went into it is even better, because as you learn about these things, you find there's some fantastic stuff goes on. Tell us about the event where these awards were won, because there was a large group of kids.
It's a big deal. Fort Hayes has put on a very nice robotics competition. This is their 12th annual. Paul Adams has done a great job with promoting it and getting other schools to come in the last couple of years. They've had, upwards of 15 to 18 schools, and each school can bring any number of teams that they want. And so some schools, like the bigger schools like Salina or different schools, they'll bring 5 to 7 teams themselves. So we're up to like 35 teams that are competing in all of these events. And so I guess maybe 15 years ago, I started acquiring the old NXT robots, and these ones are not really
this right
supported
here.
by Lego any longer, but I've got 15 of them that are still good, and we use them in our classroom.
Now, is this a Lego product?
This is a Lego product from Lego Education, and this is a microcomputer, and so we download all our programming onto this brain, and then from here we add the sensors. It can see, it can touch, it can move around its environment, and the more sensors we add, the smarter it gets. But these ones are kind of getting phased out. But again, Paul Adams, 15 years ago, they started offering robotics courses for teachers, and in that grant that you signed up for when you got done going to learn how to use these and incorporate those into your classroom, then they would give you one. And so I did that 3 or 4 times to get my first few robots. Finally got enough of those gathered up to use them in our classroom as a regular curriculum. And that was kind of when we changed from our modular technology to more of our STEM curriculum. And so they did an excellent job, and their big focus there was to get more girls into the math and sciences and get them interested in these kinds of careers.
Well, this is really cool. And you talked about, does everybody work with the same platform of parts or the same group? Or
Yes.
So everybody works the same thing.
Yep.
They build
In
their
our-
product.
Yep.
And then they compete. And there were, what I saw, almost 250 kids in this competition from 15 schools. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, about 15 schools and about 35 different teams. These ones here, this is kind of a robot that I have put together PowerPoint. Students will just put this robot together, and then really in class, in our 7th grade exploratory tech class, they're learning about the programming and how to make a robot more autonomous. When we get out to Fort Hays, we started purchasing these newer robots, the EV3s, and the nice thing about these is that these will connect with our Bluetooth right up to our iPads that we have at Hays Middle School, the iPads that...
There looks like family photos
Yes, that
coming
was
up
a-
there
that was a
too.
Christmas photo. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So you take this, and we'll come back to that in just a second. When you set up this, is this put together, or do the students actually design the whole platform?
For the robotics competition, they give us 5 events, and they say, this is what your robot needs to do. And my robotics club that we started, several years ago, I think this year I had maybe 24, almost 30 kids. Enough that we had to do a Tuesday group and a Thursday group. I give them a robot, 2 or 3 kids per robot, and I say, this is the challenge, build a robot that does that challenge. And we started working about 2 months ago, preparing robots to go to Fort Hays, and we would get several robots that would do a challenge, and the one that could do it the fastest, well, that was my team that did that event. And so then we say, okay, let's take all our robots apart. Here's the next event. Everybody builds robots to do this event, build a robot that's going to accomplish this task.
From basic parts.
From just a kit, and everybody kind of just builds a robot
Very
that does
cool.
that. And so we've taken all those robots apart. If I had one of those to show you, it would be nice to show you, but as soon as the competition was over, we took all those robots apart and started playing
What's with the pipe
soccer.
cleaner? This doesn't look like your typical Lego part, this blue
No,
pipe cleaner. What is that all about?
Just today in my exploratory tech class, I had 2 of these robots, identical robots, one blue team, one red team, and we were doing tele-operated robots, telepresence.
Okay.
And so what we had is we take our phones, took our phones out, turned them on, set the phone here,
Oh, it's a phone holder. There we go.
turned on your camera, and then we connected this to our Apple TVs, and I
And you
had
could-
2 projectors, so we had split screen projector, and so I took the robot,
If we were to turn this around, then
hit
we
it
could take a
behind.
picture of Brandon back there at the camera, right, if this was running. Very cool.
Exactly, yeah. So what the kids are seeing then, first person perspective, the kids are seeing
What
this
the robot is
view,
doing.
yep, seeing what the robot sees, then we take that robot into an environment, and the challenge was to go in, retrieve several items, blue team against the red team, to see who could get the
And you
items
grab
out of.
them with the,
Yep. Use the motor A and open up the claw, the gripper, close it in on them, and then extract that. And so,
boy, I could have fun in this class. I could still have fun there.
Yep, one more example of what robots can do in our world today when we're talking about drones or robots that will, for the police department or SWAT department, they'll go in and get a bomb, bring it
Pull it
out,
out.
put it someplace where it can be, safely discarded.
Pull up
So-
your iPad there. Let's take a look at that. put your phone right down here. So if you have your iPad up here, this is how you build a program. What's neat about this, and when you take a look at it, is that it's put together almost in blocks. If you want to do something, you put a block to move, a block to turn. Pull up the next block. What would be the next thing that you would pull up there?
It's very user-friendly. The kids, it's graphic in nature. So I've got here so far, I've got a block that's a motor block, and we've told our motor or our robot to travel forward 8 rotations of the motor. Then we tell it to turn, and we just put a series of events. I mean, if we want more motors that come in, we can make it have some sound.
Like grabbing something.
We want to grab something, then we just bring this motor here that's a motor A, and we tell motor A to turn on for 1 rotation at a power level of, or maybe it takes 2 rotations of the motor to close the gripper at a power level of 100 because we want to grab it very quickly. Whoops. And then there we go. And let's say we want all of these series of events to happen multiple times. Then we just take our loop right here, drag our loop in there, highlight all of these items.
You're pretty good there with that
Put them
one.
inside the loop, and now our computer code, our coding says do all of this, if I can get that.
Kind of that same event over and over.
It just does, and I can tell my loop to be a continuous, an infinity loop that does it forever. I could count it a certain number of times, or I can tell it to do this until let's say my touch sensor is touched and the state of the touch sensor is pushed, so that'd be a true statement. So as soon as the touch sensor is pushed, then stop doing what I was doing, do something else. So it's a great program of if statements.
Very cool.
If this happens, then do something else, and you know, we anticipate that if we're going to put a touch sensor, our robot's going to hit a wall or hit something eventually that's going to cause it to be pressed and then change what it was doing. Or we can tell it to identify a wall or an object, and without touching that object, see that object and turn, go the other way, or grab whatever's there. It's really
What's so
really
cool about this, what's so cool when I was taking a look at this and what you're doing is that you're building things that help these students start putting together a plan. They may really like this, may be talented at doing it for their next thing, whether it be working at NASA, whether it be working at an engineering firm, because as you know, drone companies, all those things are out here. It really gives students a chance to kind of explore that, whether they like it or not.
And that's exactly what we do in our exploratory tech class for our 7th graders, is we talk, after we learn these technologies, say, well, what kind of careers could you have in there? Certainly we've done something in a semester that you've had fun doing. Well, there's a little math, there's always going to be math, there's always some science involved in those things. So what did you like doing? Because robotics, I mean, it's in every industry. You can, agriculture, they're flying drones in agriculture, there's surgical robots, they're robots everywhere. And there's a career involved in that, whether you like to program them, like to build them, like to, you know, do whatever.
So you probably get in trouble though if you build one that follows Mr. Pallister around, though,
exactly. No, I tell them at the beginning of the semester, if you build a robot that takes over the world, you fail.
That doesn't work.
You're done.
I want to come back because there's an award back here. I want to talk about that, kind of what went into that, and then maybe some follow-up if people have interest on what to do next. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Our guest is Brad Moritz. Brad is the industrial tech teacher at Hayes Middle School. Back with more after this.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Are you frustrated with Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? It happens when you don't have Pulse, the cutting-edge Wi-Fi solution from Eagle Communications. A Pulse-certified Eagle technician maps your home, then installs a dual-band modem and router, plus discrete access points to deliver wall-to-wall Wi-Fi with no dead zones. Pulse powers all your family's devices in all the places you love to live. Get Pulse. Wi-Fi made simple. Only from Eagle Communications. Call today.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum here on Eagle Television. Again, our program is brought to you by Hayes Med, and I'd always like to hear from you if you have ideas, suggestions for great programs, some of the amazing things that you may see in our community that you'd like to share, let me know. Gary.Shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also go online to Facebook. We're under Facebook under ECTV Forum. Our guest is Brad Moritz. He's the industrial tech teacher at Hayes Middle School. And they've just competed in a robotics competition with 250 kids from 15 schools around Northwest Kansas and around the state. And Brad, what did you come back with? Because there's a cool, I mean, not everybody has a Lego trophy like this. That is really cool.
We've been going to the competition for several years. And like I said, 2 months ago or so, we started building robots to take to the competition. Our philosophy this year was to let's take 5 robots that complete 5 tasks and see where we're at. We took one team. It took about 14 kids, but we had 5 students that actually set the robot on the challenge mat in the event and hit the button. So I took 14 kids that all had a part in building the robots, and our philosophy there was if we've got robots that complete tasks, we'll be getting points as the events progress. And we did well.
Score by points.
We did good. Yes.
Is that the championship right here?
Yeah. Each event had 5 points, 5 places for 5 robots. The fastest robot that completed an event took 5 points, and then the 4th fastest got 4 points, and so on down the road. We had 2 robots that took first in their event, which gave us a total of 10 points, and then we had 2 other robots that scored second place, and so we had a total of 18 points. 18 points this year. Took us first place with the team with the most points. And like I said, we only had one team, so that was, we were kind of hoping, we were expecting that.
Yeah.
Because we had robots that knew what they were doing. They were smart enough. And the cool thing about the Fort Hays competition is they design their events to have robots that are more autonomous. For example, they had one of the events was a slalom course where a robot had to weave in and out of some pipes. But there was a missing pipe, and you didn't know where that pipe was going to be missing. So you had to have a robot that was smart enough to alternate each pipe and know and figure out when that pipe was not going to be there, because it was kind of missing right in the middle. You could either go 3 pipes and then a missing one, or they would flip a coin and you'd start your robot on the other side. You'd go 2 pipes and then miss a pipe. And so, yeah, that's why we felt confident that we were going in pretty strong, because we had robots smart enough to make decisions in the event.
And students smart enough to put it together,
Yes, exactly. And so,
cool.
We had the team with the most points, which also then got us the traveling trophy. We got to give this one back at the end of the year, or next year when we go back. We got to take this one back. This one's been traveling all over Kansas, but in 12 years, that's the first time it got to stay home in Hayes.
Yay.
So we're pretty pleased about that. And every time our robots won an event, the kids all got medallions. So that's why we kept these.
Very good.
and
then, the last one here?
And then the last one, say a team or a school, if they had 5 teams and they had 5 robots that did well in one event, they could rack up some points pretty good. And they may not get first, second, or third, but they may have a school with 7 teams that point like a track meet, get a lot of points, and then get this plaque here. Well, 18 points got us the school with the most points as well. So even with one team, 5 robots, not only did we get first place for having the most points in a single team, but it was the most points per school as well. Cool. So that also stayed with us this year.
You talk about education and how our kids do, and I know it takes great teachers to get excited and get the students excited about that. If a parent is out there wants to find out more, where's the way to chase this down?
You know,
because next school year is a couple months away.
Hayes, no, I'm still looking forward to the beginning of this summer.
Don't talk about summer yet.
Well, there's lots of ways parents can get their kids involved. Nice thing that I saw at the competition is that there were some elementary schools there. There were some 5th graders. Monica Dreiling at Lincoln, she's got an after-school program. She brought a team to Fort Hays competition. Our 4-H group here in Hayes has a nice little robotics program that kids can be involved in. And then also this summer, Fort Hays, this will be the 2nd year that I've kind of helped with the robotics camp that Fort Hays puts on. And so you can contact the Math and Science Department at Fort Hays and sign your kids up for a summer robotics camp. It's a week long where there's 2 sessions, an AM session and a PM session. One of the sessions will be a kind of a beginner's class where students will build, kind of like I have here, a robot, the pre-designed robot, and their biggest challenge is to program the robot to do some different things, make it smarter, make it more autonomous. The more advanced class, and I would say advanced, if you've got any robotic skills at all, then we take these robots here, and then by design, I give those kids a challenge and say, engineer a robot that will complete this particular task. And so, yeah, 2 levels of robotics that students
like go fetch me a Coke out of the refrigerator.
Exactly,
kind of thing. Okay.
exactly.
Very good. I think there's potential for one of these things over here.
Or walk a tightrope and drop a ball in a target location, 15 meters that way.
You know, you see more and more of these things, the auto-driving cars. You know, we were just talking today about auto-parking cars that do these things. All of it involves types of robotics that make that happen.
And somebody had to design that program, had to develop and write that code to carry out that list of instructions that item does. And so it's a career.
It's fun to see that happen. Brad, thanks for being on our program today.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate it. One thing that I could mention, though, too, the question that most kids ask when you come to class or you build a robot or do that, the first question they ask is, do we get to keep the robot? That's a negative.
But you can go find those, correct? If you want to go find them. They're expensive. But
Lego Education, like these EV3s, they're about $385. Thank my home and school.
And they connect to your phone or iPad, and away you go.
They can do it, yeah. I shout out to our home and school at Hayes Middle School. They purchased us 2 more of these. They've purchased us several in the past. We've got 9 of these in our after-school program. My goal is to get enough of these to add the newer robots into our classroom curriculum as well. These ones here, they're still good robot. They're great, but even this last year, I've had 3 of those go down that we can't repair because they're not supporting those any longer. So.
Well, it's amazing what you're doing with the students over there and being able to do that. If you're out there, you want to find out more, you're up at Hayes Middle School.
I'm at Hayes Middle School.
Off during the summer, I know that.
Come visit us. Yeah,
but if you're a parent, find out more. Get your kids involved because it's great technology, great things that are happening at USD 489. Again, thanks for being here and thanks for teaching the students because it takes a great teacher to make that happen.
Well,
Brad Moritz.
Yes, I have fun.
Brad Moritz from Hayes Middle School. Thanks for watching The Forum. It's brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communication, our community connected.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.